Okay, so let's walk through a very quick and simple example of a value stream mapping process. As we walk through this exercise, we'll use squares for the actual activities in the process, and then we'll use arrows for the gaps or the time delays between those activities. So in this example, a doctor's office was taking over 140 days to process a transaction from the initial request from a patient all the way through to the actual treatment. Well, maybe you've experienced this office. Well, believe it or not, that time was actually the industry average for this particular discipline. Well, in this case, the process began with the patient logging a request. The request was then evaluated and passed along to the department who researched the request. If the request was deemed valid, then an exam was scheduled. It was at the exam that the doctor would diagnose the patient and move to treatment. Now let's assign time frames to each of these tasks. So first, it took about 5 minutes to log the request. It took 30 to 40 minutes to actually evaluate the request and about 60 minutes to research the request. If the request was valid, it took another 10 minutes to schedule the exam and maybe an hour to actually diagnose and begin to treat the patient. So why was it taking 140 or more days to move a patient through this process? Well, for that, let's revisit the actual time between each action. As it turns out, on average, it took 25 days after logging the request to get the request evaluated. Then it was delayed 120 days before research began. It's pretty easy to see where most of the problem lies already. As we continued through the process, there was another 7 days of waiting between scheduling the exam and diagnosing the patient, and then another day after diagnosis to actually treat the patient. Well, what they discovered was that in the 140 plus days, there was only about 7 hours of real work being done and over 140 days of waiting. Well, once they could visualize each action step and see the delays, they were able to consolidate some of the actions, eliminate the non-value added steps, and remove much of the waiting. This office was able to successfully streamline a process that took over 140 days, and they took it down to roughly 30. Well, what a huge difference and significant improvement this had in patient care and in satisfaction. So where can this be applied in your business? Maybe creating proposals, responding to RFPs, making a product, delivering a service, approving and paying invoices. There's lots and lots of opportunities for all of us.